I'm Hemant Mehta.
And I'm Jessica Bluemke.
And you're listening to the podcast for FriendlyAtheist.com. We're brought today by Be Secular.
Be free to love. Be able to choose. Be accepted no matter your race, gender, sexual orientation, or belief system. Be secular.
Be Secular merchandise allows you to display your support for equality and the separation of church and state, while also donating up to 50% of the profit from your purchase to nonprofits, groups, and artists that support those same values.
Go to www.besecular.com. Pick your item, and then choose who you want to get the donation from your sale. Listeners of this podcast will get a 10% discount if they use the promo code FRIENDLY.
Make a statement. Be you, be secular. A couple of weeks ago, Jessica had an idea that we should both go see the Nicolas Cage version of Left Behind.
I regret everything.
Because she's full of great ideas. And so we went to go watch the movie separately. Mm-hmm. We have not talked about it since we have seen the movie. And now both of us are ready to talk about it in a way that we haven't been able to because there was no one else around in the theaters to talk about it with.
So to start, I thought this would be a great idea. Like, it's going to be so much fun. We're going to have, like, it's going to be, like, an awesomely bad movie. And I'm so sorry I suggested that.
Yeah, I'm holding this against you forever.
Well, because it wasn't a fun bad movie. It wasn't like a Point Break kind of like campy. I don't know if that was a good example, but it was sincerely bad, having nothing to do with its religious overtones.
Well, and this is the biggest issue I had with the entire movie, which is that I went into it thinking it was going to be like the Christian version of Left Behind.
Yeah.
Which, if you're not familiar with the book series, Left Behind basically says at some point in the future, in an instant, all the believers, the true believers, are going to get raptured into heaven, and all the rest of us are going to be left behind for, I think, 7 years of trials and tribulations, and everything sucks. And the bulk of the book series is about what happens after everyone goes up to heaven and all the hell that breaks loose on earth. The movie was about that, here's a little bit before everyone leaves, and then everyone does disappear, and we're all left to figure out what happens. Right. I thought that was going to be a religious movie in the same vein as like a Kirk Cameron movie, like God's Not Dead, and it totally wasn't.
It wasn't. And let's give like a brief overview of kind of what the movie is about. I guess spoilers? I don't feel like that's
we're going to have spoilers because you're not going to watch this movie.
And don't do it. It's save yourself the pain.
So we'll tell you everything.
So the overarching story is we follow our heroine, Chloe. I
don't even remember her name anymore. She was the blonde girl, yes.
And so she's a secular-ish college student. She has a dad, Nicolas Cage, who...
I don't know his name either in the movie. It's just Nicolas Cage in the movie.
No, it was Steele. Ray Steele.
Ray Steele.
Ray Steele.
Because that's a Christian name and not a porn name at all.
I don't know what to do with that. So Ray Steele may or may not be cheating on the mom who recently found Jesus, and everybody kind of is generally annoyed by her. The most realistic part of the movie.
Yes.
And then, Ray is a pilot, so he's flying a plane. Chloe's in a mall with her little brother, and the mom's at home. The rapture happens, and, all hell breaks loose.
Right. And
people lose their fucking minds.
And you would hope, and this is what I was sincerely hoping for, because I wanted it to be a Christian movie so I could kind of hate watch it.
Yeah.
But really, the whole movie is about, can Nicolas Cage land this plane because his co-pilot got raptured, and a bunch of people on the plane disappeared, and no one knows what's going on, because apparently all the satellites got raptured too, so you can't...
he couldn't get a hold of anybody.
And every air traffic controller turns out to be Christian because they're all gone, too.
All gone.
So can Nicolas Cage land a plane with no help from people on the ground? That was what the movie was about.
They were on their way to London. They had to turn around and come back, I guess.
Yeah.
They hit another plane because everybody
They
got
almost
raptured,
hit another plane because that pilot
wing,
was gone, and they just grazed it. Yeah.
And they are losing fuel out of their wing, so it's they're going to run out of fuel. Right. They don't have room.
I heard someone describe it as this is just Con Air with a dose of religion or something.
Con Air with not nearly as good Nicolas Cage hair. So...
But yeah, that was the bulk of the movie. And all the characters, I mean, you could put them into a bunch of categories as stereotypes.
Oh, my God.
They were either the annoying
angry
Christians.
Little person.
The angry little person.
What the hell was that?
It was like a token character to put on the plane. You had a token Muslim to put on the plane.
So the focus of the plane travel was like the first class cabin. So there was a woman and her dog. And so all the kids disappeared. That's
all the kids are true believers automatically.
Gone, I guess, which...
So
I thought kids were born in sin because there's the whole scene where she goes into the hospital, into like the newborn section. She's just wandering around this goddamn hospital. Nobody's saying anything to her, and then the scary woman. Anyway, the kids all disappeared, which I apparently don't understand Christianity the way I thought I did because I thought kids were born in original sin until they're baptized.
But I guess if they haven't had a choice to reject God, maybe they're saved, and that's why they're up there. But yeah, you had a mother in first class whose daughter disappeared. And
Jordan Sparks.
Jordan Sparks. Who is in the worst possible role for Jordan Sparks.
Oh, bless her little heart. She was acting her heart out.
She was. And she was mad because her daughter disappeared. And she was like, it must be my ex-husband or my husband. I don't remember which one.
And she pulled out a gun.
She pulled out a gun, which she got through the airport somehow. I try to get a paperclip through, and that's not going to happen.
I'm baffled by that. But my favorite, I don't know why. Like, there's a little person, I recognize him from somewhere. I don't know. He was yelling at everybody
he was just an angry person on the plane whose entire role in the movie
was to be angry.
And you had a Muslim who I was cringing, like, oh, what are they going to do with this? He was actually the sane guy throughout, just saying, let's all pray together. Right. Who cares that we believe in different faiths? Right. But even... they tried to put him in conflict with different people on the plane for no reason.
He yelled at a child.
Yeah.
he was like standing on the arm of his seat to get to the overhead bin.
Yeah.
Somebody offered to help him. He lost his shit on that guy. And then he looks at this 6-year-old girl who's looking at him, and he yelled at her. I couldn't deal with him.
So you had just all these stock characters,
right?
But there was no real reason. I mean,
no.
People weren't panicking in that sense. They were just angry at each other. But they're not screaming their eyes out or anything.
I think my main problem with this movie, and there are many, but my main
By the way, the movie has a 2% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's
Only
worse than
one person gave it a positive review, and she's like the movie reviewer for this small town podunk little place, and she's like, it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. It's like, oh, you're adorable.
Apparently, I saw on IMDb, I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but the guys the original authors saw the book, and they said it is the best portrayal of the rapture they've ever seen. So
I'm sure it all goes back to lining their pockets because people are going to buy the books.
Right. But what I was going to say about my least favorite part, there was a lot of strangers interacting with each other, even before the rapture happened. Just a lot of, like, people walking up to other people in the airport and yelling at them, or, like, people talking to each other on the plane. I do not talk to other people in public. I certainly don't talk to people on planes.
Yeah, there was a lot of unrealistic settings here. I actually remember some of these.
The writing was akin to a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
It was not good.
There were airport workers, like Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not Nicolas Cage, but one of the main male characters who was an investigative reporter.
Oh, God. He said that 14 times. I'm an investigative journalist.
He's like Anderson Cooper on the plane. That's his role in the movie. He didn't board the plane in time. And the air flight, the people who were like saying, "Sir, you have to board now."
Yeah.
So polite to him.
She came up to him. I'm sorry, sir. We really need to get in the board. Like,
that doesn't happen in real life.
Ugh.
There was a guy who walked right into the cockpit because 9/11 never happened, so they just let him right in. There were kids behaving on the plane. Like, that doesn't happen either. Like, and it was hard to watch the movie with your eyes rolled that far back.
Right. So I think one of my favorite things is watching Nicolas Cage piece together what he thinks happened.
Yeah.
And the weird thing to me is he kept saying, like, my wife has told me about this. My wife is... Like, you didn't hear about what the rapture is from your wife. Like, you know what the rapture is. You are human in the world. But so his co-pilot disappears, and then his... one of the flight attendant ladies disappeared as well. So they're trying to piece it together. And so he's like...
There was a movie called Identity a few years ago with John Cusack, and the whole premise of the movie is... I forgot if people were dying, but they're all
they're getting murdered one by one.
They're getting murdered, but they all realize we probably have something in common. And that was what I was thinking here. Like, these people got raptured, these people didn't. What do the raptured people have in common? Because they're up in the plane, they have no contact with the ground, they don't know the chaos happening on Earth, so they're trying to figure out what happened. And Nicolas Cage is like,
Nicolas Cage is going to do some detective work.
Yes.
And so he's like going through his co-pilot, because I'm sorry, we did not discuss the manner in which people were raptured, because they just disappear and all their clothes and stuff is left.
Yeah, you rapture naked.
Right. Obviously.
So your clothes are left behind on the ground.
Not anyone's underwear, I noticed, which I know is a dumb thing for me to notice, but
you have to have your underwear for the rapture, just in case of emergencies.
So he's plying through his co-pilot stuff, which apparently, if you are a true believer, you have to have something on your person that proves
says
it.
I'm a Christian.
Right. So he's like going through the guy's wallet. And then he finally looks at his watch, and it has, not engraved on the back, not on the band.
Co-pilot's watch.
The co-pilot's watch. Not engraved on, like, it's almost like a little sticker on it that just says John 3:16, like, on the face of the watch, which was very silly looking.
Which is also unrealistic, because who wears a watch?
Nobody wears a watch.
No one wears a watch.
It's 2014. But... And then, so he says to his, like, the sexy blonde co-pilot, who actually I thought was pretty good.
She was not bad in the movie, right. And she was the supposed mistress. Well, she was the mistress, but they hadn't actually done anything. But yeah, she was a character who obviously got left behind.
Right, because she wore red lipstick, and we all know
That's
what that
how we
means.
knew that she was going to be a bad character.
So she runs and gets her, the other stewardess's stuff, and... It was the best part of the entire movie because he says, go grab her bag, go get whatever you can of her.
Because we gotta find her Christian proof that she is a Christian somehow.
So, best part of the entire movie was when the stewardess runs into the cockpit and he's like, just dump it out. And instead of dumping it on the empty chair, she dumps it all over, sorry, I hit the microphone, I'm so excited about this. All over the control panel. I was like, what the? And so he like opens it up and like one page, just it's like a date book. Yeah. The entire day, Bible study, all caps, 7 underlined.
Which is how I write my Bible studies.
Yeah. I mean, obviously.
Here's another thing that it makes the movie completely unrealistic. If if random people around you just flat out disappeared, I would be swearing left and right. There were no swears in the movie. It was rated like PG-13.
I don't understand how it got a PG-13 rating. Nothing happened.
Yeah, I know. Well, she put on red lipstick. So.
No, I think I looked it up because I was very befuddled by this rating, which in my theory is that's why it didn't do very well, is because people wanted to bring their kids to this. They're not going to bring their kids to PG-13.
Red lipstick. Can't do it.
Red lipstick.
Yeah.
But, so there's one... On a flight to London, there was one British person on the flight, and it's this blonde woman who wears sunglasses the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
And so it is revealed. Yes. She goes into the bathroom, and she looks at herself in the mirror, and she's like, it's just a bad trip. It's going to end soon. And then she pulls out a packet of what I presume is Coke.
Yeah.
I don't know. But,
some drug.
But I have many problems with this. I don't think anybody who does Coke calls it tripping. That's like hallucinogens. For some reason, that really stuck out to me. And B, if she's talking about how I'm having a bad trip, why is she going to do more Coke? 3, she gets out back into her seat and, what's his name? The Buck Rogers of the 21st century. What's his?
The main investigative reporter dude?
The Kirk Cameron's character.
I don't remember his name either.
But he goes to talk to her, and her sleeves are pushed up, and she's got like a needle injection. Maybe I don't understand drugs. I have never done like anything that you inject in your body, but I don't know why like you have Coke and then also have
where's the needle? It's not like she brought that. She's gonna snort
because she couldn't
something.
get that shit on a plane. Although, if you can get a gun on a plane,
I mean, just security was very lax.
Somebody was not doing their job. God, this movie, I don't even know. What else did I write down?
There was one point in the movie where Chloe, Nicolas Cage's daughter's character...
Oh, she was acting her little heart out.
She was trying to figure out what happened because everyone around her disappeared too.
Her little brother disappeared.
But at one point, she climbs up like the Golden Gate Bridge I thought for a second, she's not going to jump. That's not where this is going. And no, what she was doing is she got up there. She was about to jump for no reason that I could figure out.
Well, I don't know why. She was on a bridge already. She didn't need to climb to the top of the bridge.
Yeah.
Like, it was a plenty tall bridge.
And
for her
as
purposes.
she's up there, guess what happens? The satellite starts working, and the phone rings. She finally gets to reach Nicolas Cage.
Well, because Buck, I wrote it down, Buck something, has a satellite phone. Because, they had names. Because she said, that's not even important. Buck Williams. But his real name is Cameron Williams. Mm-hmm. But she said to her, like, she met him in an airport. That's not important. It's all fucking dumb. But Buck has a satellite phone, and he keeps, like, pulling out these stupid tools, and everyone's like, why do you have that? And he just keeps saying, like, I'm an investigative journalist. Right. And so he has a camera with him, and he also has a satellite phone. Yeah. Which, I don't know, is that a real thing that works on planes?
I mean, it's a pretty fancy phone. I mean, most investigative journalists probably have iPhones or something. But he had a very fancy
phone that he could make calls. And he had met Chloe, our heroine,
in the airport
for like 15 minutes and is obsessed with her. She's a college student and he is a professional journalist. Dude, like, gross. Gross.
But yeah,
so she
had her number.
She
had his number.
I don't even know what to do with it.
Yeah. They finally got in touch, and that's why she didn't jump off the bridge. But I think there was a moment when it's like, she's a little closer to heaven, but she's not quite raptured like the rest of them. Yeah. Which was awesome. I think that's the biggest thing. The rapture wasn't the point of the movie. It was a plot device to just give them something to do while Nicolas Cage can try to land a plane.
No, I do think that's why I'm so disappointed in this movie. And it has nothing to do with whether or not it's it's clearly meant to be religious, but it just wasn't a good movie.
Yeah, it wasn't a good movie on religious terms. On religious terms, Christianity Today, I believe, published a review of the movie that said, well, it wasn't even a religious movie. And like we're saying, it was just a bad movie. They got backlash about that review. Like, how dare
Christianity Today?
Yeah, why do you negatively review a Christian film? They had to issue a follow-up where they said, we're not apologizing for it. We want to explain where we're coming from because all of you are crazy, is essentially the tone I got from that follow-up piece.
Oh,
but even Christians didn't like this movie, is what I'm getting at.
It was an objectively bad movie. Objectively bad movie.
Which makes me wonder, did they like the Kirk Cameron version better?
I don't know.
And it would be scary to say that Kirk Cameron's version of any movie is better than the Nicolas Cage secularized version of it.
Should we watch the Kirk Cameron? No, come on! No. It'll be so bad. No. But it'll be like good bad. No. But I forgot about this. I wrote it down because it was literally the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. So at some point, the Muslim guy who is designated by his slightly darker skin tone.
Yes.
And his hat.
Yes, his headgear.
His head. I don't know. Is there a name for that?
I forgot what the name of it
that he was wearing. It's like a white
sort
of knit-ish.
But yeah, it was clear that this was like, if you have to portray a Muslim and you don't want to just say he's the brown guy, you got to give him something to work off of. So they gave him like the Muslim prayer hat. Yeah. I forgot what it's called.
I don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
But so he stands up and sort of is trying to, and he seems like a reasonable enough character.
Was fine.
And he said something to the effect of, I think this is the time we all need to pray.
Yeah.
And the little person stands up and like starts marching towards him and goes, your God or mine? And he was like,
because that's really the time for theological discussion when the plane's going down.
And so the Muslim guy is like, oh God, whatever he says. And then the little person gives the like, I'm watching you thing from, do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that. Because the four of us in the theater were laughing at the gesture of I'm watching you. Like, are you making a threat on the plane?
Is this your concern? Are you concerned about the Muslim guy?
It's a very serious movie about the rapture, supposedly. It's a very serious movie about the plane going down. Uh-huh. But you had, like, someone came up with the idea that we need someone on the plane who will give us a little bit of humor, who will be that comic relief on the plane, and it was just unnecessary.
It was...
Their attempts at humor were just like... No. Was it what?
Was it comic relief?
I think that's what they were trying to do with the character, but it was just, this isn't happening. This would not happen. I know it's a movie. It's not supposed to be realistic, but this is really not the place to, like, inject humor into the plot.
No. Well, here's what I think was an interesting aspect there was a lot of kind of theological talk in like the first act of the movie, just when a lot between the daughter and her mother,
right,
and things, and
she got mad at her mother really quickly when they began discussing religion. The mom was just like, "I just want to talk to you about this," and she's like, "No, how dare you?" I mean, it was dude. We
weren't painted well, as secular. But
I wasn't surprised by that.
That being said, really, there's a lot of arguments for secularism in the movie. Like, if they did a whole bit about there was floods in Asia, and a woman lost 4 or 5 kids, or 7 of her 8 kids, was left with the one 6-week-old kid.
Basically, the argument they were making is that why would you want to believe in a God who does all of these horrible things?
And the woman who had her one kid fell to her knees, thanked God, and then
God responded by...
Well, no, it wasn't even that. They tried to get her out, and she said, "No, God is protecting me," and then the woman died.
There's this old joke where this guy is stranded on a roof during his flood. He's like, "God will provide. I don't need the lifeboat to go away." They send another lifeboat. "No, I don't need it. God will provide." And then the guy drowns. He goes to heaven. He's like, "God, why didn't you save me? I gave you all these lifeboats. Why didn't you go on them?" Right. It was essentially that argument.
Yes, that's exactly right. But, like, that was never thoroughly... Well...
They didn't go into that. That would have been interesting.
That would have been an interesting talk. But they just said that, and like they kept making all these arguments about like why would a good God do this
without actually answering
it. An interest, nobody ever responded to it.
Even for a Christian movie, wouldn't they respond to that sort of argument? Like, well, God works in mysterious ways. They didn't really even get to that.
I mean, certainly God was, quote unquote, proved to be real because the rapture happened, so it was real. So it wasn't even about proving that God is good. It just, like, God exists and fuck you guys. Like, sorry.
Here's the most compelling character for me in the movie, and it wasn't about his acting or anything, but at one point, Chloe, that blonde character, she goes to her church. And there is the pastor of the church is still there, which right off the bat, I'm like, wait a minute, why is the pastor still there? This is going to be good.
Pedophile stuff.
Well, she's like, wait a minute, why are you here? And he gives a short speech basically about saying, yeah, I said these things over the years. I never actually believed them, which is awesome. Like, that's a cool character, really cool scene.
We've got a group he can talk to.
Yeah, right? Send him to the Clergy Project. I would have loved to see an extension of that scene.
Follow
or just
that guy.
Follow that guy. That guy's way more interesting than Nicolas Cage.
So, by far, and I've said favorite a lot, but just every part was the best part. My favorite was the kid, the little brother.
Yeah.
Who I was baffled by because I talked to my fiance about this at length after we saw this movie together, and you went with your wife.
I did. We just talked about divorce papers as we were leaving.
He was not thrilled with it. He made me buy the ticket. He was too embarrassed to buy the ticket himself. But so like the kid was wearing a comically oversized hat,
right,
and a comically oversized shirt.
Because
and, like,
if you have to paint a stereotypical picture of a little kid brother. That's what you would do.
Well, and I think he was just cast too old, and they were trying to age him down. Because at one point she gets home, and he runs and like jumps into her arms,
which is something a 4-year-old would do.
Right, but he's 10.
Yeah, or something like that.
Like, did you know that thing that kids do when he like kind of jumped on her and then sort of like wrapped his legs around her legs? It was just this awkward like, kid, you're too old. Stay on the ground.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why it happened, but I was baffled by it. And, like, the way he talked, because right before he got raptured, he said something about, like, the sister was saying, like, Dad was telling me that you're the best baseball player in the whole world. And you know what? He was right.
Yeah.
And, like,
which
he hugs her and that's
to a 4-year-old
to a
again.
4-year-old.
Yeah.
I was very confused by that.
Well, if we want to talk about miscasting all the roles.
All of the roles.
All of them.
All of them were awful.
By the way, you said the trailer for the movie. I saw when the trailers played.
Oh, yeah.
I got to see Kirk Cameron's trailer for his upcoming Christmas
movie.
We're
100% doing that movie.
Which we are so not doing that.
Yes! Oh, look how much fun we're having.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is fun, but it's not worth the tickets / 2 hours of my life.
No, it really is
I have to now convince my wife we're not wasting.
It really is more fun in theory. And like by 45 minutes into the movie, I was like, what did I get myself into?
At one point, I was just tempted to, I wanted to leave, but I'm like, I can't leave. I want to know where this is. I know. I want to know where this is going. Maybe it'll turn out to be like The Room, But it didn't get to that.
It wasn't.
It's not a good bad movie.
It wasn't a good bad movie. Yeah. But the ending was goddamn absurd. So the problem was they're flying back to New York and there's nowhere
to land. They don't know where to land because there are no air traffic controllers.
So he's finally got a hold of his daughter, who runs off the bridge, finds a motorcycle that she knows how to ride.
Well, because the motorcyclist has been raptured.
Raptured. Sure. She did not take the helmet.
Oh, yeah, no.
That is bad sense.
Yeah.
But she knows how to ride this motorcycle.
Everyone knows.
Because who among us does not know how to ride a motorcycle? So she rides that. She finds a construction site. So she's like, I'm going to clear out this construction site because I need a mile of runway. And then she also knows how to drive a bulldozer.
Yeah, she found a bulldozer and a tractor or whatever. And basically, got in this vehicle and just started clearing almost a mile's worth of space by just like a snowplow. Yeah. Just, I'm going to move everything out of my way.
But with construction equipment, very large, that she was just like in a shitty old truck.
Yeah.
Just moving it out of the way. And then they need the light. I don't know how it was
she started an explosion, basically, and that's how they knew, there's the light. There's where we can land. It's just that easy.
And he used a GPS, like Google Maps. He used Google Maps to land that phone.
Yes, he did. He found the compass points and stuff. My favorite part is my favorite part too. Yeah, every part is my favorite, right? I forgot at that point that this was a Christian movie, even in theory.
Yeah.
But the way they reminded us it was a Christian movie is after Nicolas Cage magically lands this plane inches away from a flammable truck.
And then they throw the little person down the escape chute. Which my fiance lost his damn mind at that point. Because it was just the end of, it was
an absurdity on top of other absurdities.
It was like PTSD manifesting itself in strange ways.
Well, after the movie ends, they land, they're out there, they embrace because Nicolas Cage sees his daughter. Uh-huh. And at that point, they're like, well, everyone's been raptured. I guess we got to live here on Earth now. And they're like, well, apparently, according to the Bible, it's 7 years of hell, basically.
Which none of whom have ever read the Bible, but they're all pretty
knowledgeable about it. But then they're like, basically, oh, well, I guess that starts now.
And then they
cue Bible verse that appears over the screen.
But they do a long pullout of the three of them standing in a straight line, holding hands as like the flames and it was.
It's like the beginning of Armageddon, but we're not going to get to that part or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
but
and then the Bible verse goes across the screen. And it's like, oh, right, this was supposed to be a Christian movie. I forgot all about that. And at the very beginning of the movie, too, just to show that they're a Christian movie, the investigative journalist is at the airport. Reporters recognize him. And a random lady runs up to him to basically say, do you believe in the Bible? She's proselytizing to him at the airport. And he's basically politely saying, like, I don't really believe in this stuff. And it's like, oh, right, you need a crazy proselytizer at the beginning to show that this is a Christian movie.
Yeah, but that's
she didn't even look like it wasn't portraying Christians in a good way. She looked nuts.
But I don't understand why anybody would have he's portrayed as like an Anderson Cooper type, I guess, like sort of a young, handsome.
Everyone knows who this guy
very
is.
Very well-known journalist. Yeah. But it's never established that he does anything with religion. There's no reason like a stranger would see him and be like, what do you think about the Bible? Like,
it's not like he's made anti-religious statements before. She just randomly comes up to him.
Yeah.
Because this is a Christian movie and that's how the world works.
And that's the world they live in.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So we give this movie 4 stars.
4 stars.
2 thumbs up.
Absolutely. Go see it. Bring your family.
Bring your family.
Go learn something.
Don't worry, you can fit all of them in the theater.
Oh yeah, I went to a noon show on a Sunday in St. Charles, Illinois, because it wasn't playing anywhere in Chicago. I text Hemant to be like, let's go see this movie, and he was like, fuck you, and I was like, no, we're gonna do it. It's gonna be great. Yeah. And then literally we couldn't find any show times. I thought because this movie
it's limited.
Bombed.
This movie's not doing as well.
Bombed.
God's Not Dead made $60 million. Left Behind with Nicolas Cage did not make anywhere near that. I don't know if they got their budget money back. I wouldn't promise.
We should have done research before this, huh?
No. If we haven't, why start now?
And did you see God Is Not Dead?
I've seen too many clips of it. I haven't seen the whole thing at once.
Should we do that one next?
No.
Damn it.
God's Not Dead 2 is coming out next year, so
Electric
we'll
Boogaloo.
have the Electric Boogaloo. We'll get to do
also,
that soon.
Before we let everybody get on with their lives, there was a great moment that the kid, the 15-year-old kid playing a 6-year-old, said something to the effect of, like, Dad said somebody's washing Mom's brain. I'm like, kid, you're 12. You know what brainwashing is. Stop it.
Yep.
It was so distracting and troubling.
They were trying to make him be like the kid from Jerry Maguire.
Yes.
That's what they were trying to...
He went through puberty already.
It's not okay anymore to do those things that were cute.
It's not adorable.
Right.
I don't know what to do with this. I don't know.
So go see the movie.
Don't go see the movie.
And
I'm so sad it wasn't, like, great, campy. Although Nicolas Cage's wig at the end was amazing. It was, like, I think he got a new one for it. It was really,
Congratulations, Nicolas Cage.
Especially big. It was great. Don't go see this movie, guys. I'm sorry that I made you do this, Hemant. It made
holding this against you for such a long time.
A failed experiment on my part. But look, we're laughing. We're enjoying each other's company. This is great.
Yes.
So
there's so many ways to enjoy a movie and talk about it afterwards. This is so not one of them. Yeah. We'll go see a Kirk Cameron movie next because that's at least we know that one's gonna be a crazy bad.
Yeah,
movie.
That's gonna be nuts. Let's end on that note.
All right. If any of you saw the movie, we'd love to hear what you thought about it.
Please do.
Leave those messages on the website in the comments section because we read those.
We do.
And okay. There you go.
Sorry if anybody watched this to listen to this podcast. That was the wrong decision. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to the podcast for FriendlyAtheist.com. This episode was taped at Cinnamon Sound Studios in Aurora, Illinois, and the music was written and performed by Brad Chagdis. If you like what you're hearing, please consider making a contribution at patreon.com/Hemant, that's He-Man T. We appreciate your support. I'm Hemant Mehta.
And I'm Jessica Blumke. We hope you'll join us next time.